Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Saturday. I hope you're all going to have a very, very good weekend and you're all very happy that Arsenal have made their fifth signing of the summer window. Oleksandr Zinchenko finally confirmed yesterday late afternoon. He is now an Arsenal player and there's been lots of reaction. Arteta's been speaking, Zinchenko's been speaking. And we could well be seeing him make his debut for Arsenal later tonight, early hours of the morning, however you want to describe it, in the game against Chelsea. So that'll come on. We'll talk a little bit about that signing. There's been some interesting quotes overnight from Mikel Arteta speaking about transfers, the possibility of more transfers, the transfer policy. He's been speaking it over in Orlando, a big sort of press thing ahead of the game against Chelsea. So we'll go through what he's had to say there. Martin Odegaard's been speaking about the captaincy, and we'll have a little bit, we'll have another look at the game against Chelsea. Also, I've got to say a couple of things about Maria Petri, just absolute legendary Arsenal fan. If you go to games, men's games, women's games, youth team games, you would know exactly who I'm talking about. I'm sure you know who I'm talking about anyway. You'd have seen the outpouring of grief and emotion on social media at the news of her passing yesterday. Just an absolute legend who, from me being a little boy growing up, going to Highbury since I was 9 years old, if you didn't see her, you heard her, and that carried on right through. I saw her in the last game of the season, last season, against Everton, when she came through the press entrance to wait to get the lift to go up to her seat, and right till the very end, just an absolute unwavering support for Arsenal, just a legendary figure amongst the Arsenal fan base, and she's going to be massively missed. So my thoughts with Maria's family, friends, and the Arsenal community, because you can see from the reaction from former players, current players. Mikel Arteta was speaking about her over in America, just how sad everyone is at her passing. So really, really sad news. And yeah, thoughts to any friends and family who might be watching this that Maria may have. Okay, let's talk about Oleksandr Zinchenko, shall we? His signing arrived yesterday. Still don't think we know, unless I've missed it, what his shirt number is. I think that's going to be revealed in due course. I think probably waiting to see who goes between now and the end of the season before those shirt numbers are finally confirmed. Same goes for William Saliba as well. But yeah, Zinchenko speaking says, "This is a boyhood dream come true because I was a massive fan when I was a kid. Since Thierry Henry and young Cesc Fabregas was playing here, I was just enjoying watching those games, that Arsenal. Obviously, I started to love this club, so I'm so excited and I cannot wait to play for this amazing club." I know lots of players say that when they come to new clubs, oh, this is a dream come true. But to be fair to Zinchenko, there are pictures of him as a kid wearing his Arsenal shirt, so it does appear he definitely was a big fan of the club growing up. So he seems very, very happy. There's a wide-ranging interview on Arsenal.com. Go and have a look at it for what he had to say. He spoke about his conversations with Arteta, about Gabriel Jesus being here. He spoke about his possible position, although having said that, he did speak about it, but he kept cards close to his chest about it. Said he wanted to sort of keep what him and Mikel have had to say secret regarding his position. But I thought it was an interesting interview. His character really shines through, and like I've said in previous videos, anyone you speak to about Zinchenko, you just never hear a bad word said about him, but about, first of all, his quality as a footballer, but what he's like behind the scenes, his character, his personality, his will to win. Is just, Arsenal have signed a top player, but they've also signed a top person, and I think that seems to be coming through in a lot of the players that Mikel Arteta is identifying, and Edu is identifying and signing at the moment. So I'm really excited. I've spoken at length about my feelings on Zinchenko and what he's going to bring to this team, the versatility he's going to bring, being able to recover at left back, playing in midfield. Like I said, his personality, I just think he's going to bring an awful lot to this team. And he talks here further about just sort of coming to Arsenal. He says, "I'm ready for another challenge. I'm not just here to waste my time and the time at Arsenal because the club is always in front of everyone. I'm here to achieve big things, and I hope we can win some titles. And I hope we are going to fight for every title in which we are involved. Even from last season, I was watching the Arsenal games and I could smell that it was coming. This team is growing up so quickly, and I think it's time. It's time to do our best and to achieve something big." I mean, it's just comments you want to hear from new signings, isn't it? Again, some people say, "Oh, it's just, it's what everyone says when they sign." But he is a winner. He's won 4 Premier League titles since he moved to Manchester City. Same as Gabriel Jesus. They know how to win. They're used to winning. I think adding that type of player to the squad is only going to be a very, very good thing, and I'm really excited to see what Zinchenko is going to bring to Arsenal, and I think it's going to be good. Mikel was speaking about it. He didn't in the sort of club interview. He didn't say too much about where he saw Zinchenko playing. Talking to reporters over in Orlando at the Arsenal versus Chelsea media event over there, he said a little bit more, and which was quite interesting. He said his main position is a left back. But within that position and within the formation that we have, he can alter and occupy different spaces on the pitch. That is his main quality Alex has. So that's the first time really that he said his main position is a left back. So maybe that is Arteta seeing him as an out and out sort of competition for Kieran Tierney. But also when you kind of look at the formation when Arsenal play, the system when Arsenal play, you see with Granit Xhaka, he always drops in at left back a lot of times during games when he's not left back, obviously, but he drops in there and then he moves forward into that space when Arsenal are in possession. When they're out of possession, it's almost like they play three at the back. When they're in possession, it sort of moves to five in midfield. And it's just going to bring lots of versatility. He just ticks the boxes for a Mikel Arteta player. He's that versatile. He can drop in and out of positions that it just feels like it's going to be a really smart. Well, it is a really smart piece of transfer business for Arsenal. £30 million as well, possibly rising into about 32 with add-ons further down the line. But really, really good piece of business and smart piece of business. So let me know what you guys think. What have you thought of Zinchenko and his arrival? What he's had to say since he signed? What Mikel's had to say since he signed? Let me know in the comments below. Interesting what happens to Nuno Tavares now. I think he's going to go out on loan. I'd be very, very surprised if he doesn't. There's lots of clubs who are in for Nuno Tavares. Marseille have been interested in the past. Brighton were credited with interest. I wasn't sure if that was correct or not, but they were certainly linked. Peers at Atlanta are who have been interested for a fair while now. It appears that they might be now in pole position for Nuno Tavares. So we'll see what happens in the next week or so. Tavares obviously at the moment is over in the States, but I think the arrival of Zinchenko is certainly going to allow him to go out on loan. I think that'll be good for him. I think he needs it. Arsenal aren't ready to sort of wash their hands of Tavares yet. It depends what deal's on the table from a club. If there is a possibility of including a obligation to buy at the end of it, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But Arsenal, yes, he struggled at times last season, Tavares, but it's clearly a player there. There's clearly the attributes to be a very, very good player there. Maybe it was just a little bit too early to sort of thrust him straight into the team, but he showed at times that he can play very, very well. And I think Arsenal, they can, whatever happens with Tavares, you would hope they're going to make a profit on him, and it's going to prove to be a decent bit of transfer business. He only costs $7 million. He's young. He's shown he can perform well. If he goes and has a very good loan spell somewhere next season, potentially just a little bit out of the spotlight of the Premier League, where it's all it's so intense, it's so difficult, that his value should shoot up. And I think Arsenal will make a decent bit of money on Tavares if they do agree to sell at the end of this loan. But we'll wait and see. I'm not sure they're ready to completely wash their hands with him yet, so we'll wait and see. But I do expect that Tavares will now go out on loan. Mikel has been speaking about the transfer business that Arsenal have been doing this summer following the arrival with Zinchenko, and he said, "We're really happy with what we plan to do and where we are today. We are pretty far ahead. Everything is going well. We have a big squad, and some players now have to leave." So you're looking at your Tavares, but you're also looking at those players who were out on loan last season. As I've spoken about before, they need to get these sorted, because for Arteta, it's just as important as bringing in new players as getting players out, because he doesn't want unhappy, unmotivated players around the squad to kind of dragging everyone down. He knows to have a really settled squad behind the scenes at London Colney each week. You just don't want players who aren't going to feature that much. So they've got to move some of these on. Your Pablo Maris, Lucas Torreira, for example, absolutely essential. Hector Bellerin as well, who, he's working very, very professionally at the moment over on the US tour, but he wants to go to Betis. It's very, very clear. And there's other players as well, Maitland-Niles, Reece Nelson potentially. Lots of work for Arsenal to do in that regard now, and I think that's probably going to be the main priority going forward for the rest of the window. I'm not saying that Arsenal aren't going to bring anyone in, because I think I'd be surprised if they don't, but we'll have to wait and see. It depends if the right player's available. I don't think that the position they're in now, the money they've spent on the squad, the players they've brought in, I don't see them going out between now and the end of the window and just throwing a load of money and bringing anyone in for the sake of it. I think if there's someone there who they really want and is available at the right price, I think they'll go out and sign him, or certainly try and get it done. But I think they're at the stage now where the squad's shaping up pretty well, and that they're not just going to go out and just blow a load of money on someone that they just kind of think, well, you know what, it'll fill a space in the squad. I'm not sure. I don't think they'll do that. I think they're certainly going to put a lot of focus now on getting players out, and rightly so, because the squad is pretty big and they need to move it on. Mikel was asked about sign in maybe one more player. And he said, we will see, we will try to keep improving the team, that's for sure. And I think it's pretty clear, if Arsenal are going to go out and sign someone between now and the end of the window, it's pretty clear where it's probably going to be, and that's someone to provide competition for Bukayo Saka on the over on the right. Yes, Nicolas Pepe's there, but he's in that mix of players who will, if a deal can be done, will go between now and the end of the transfer window. And Arsenal have already shown by offering big money for Rafinha that that's a position that they want to improve and they want to bring someone in. And if they can find someone else, then I'd expect they will try and get that done. But as I said earlier, I just don't see them going out now panicking for the sake of it and thinking, what, for the hell of it, let's go and just sign someone for the sake of it. I don't see that happening. So we'll wait and see, but certainly Mikel there, hinting that if there is the possibility of bringing someone else in, that it is something they're gonna try and do. And everyone's over in America at the moment. Saw the picture yesterday with Zinchenko. Even Tim Lewis is over there. He was also asked about. Zinchenko's arrival takes Arsenal spending to 115 million this window, and that's before add-ons. I think it's kind of pretty much bang level with Tottenham in terms of the highest money spent in the Premier League. And when you think Arsenal spent 145 million last summer, and again were the highest spenders in the Premier League, it's big investment for Arsenal. And Mikel was asked about that by reporters over at that event in Orlando. Is this something that can really continue, this kind of spending without bringing any money in? Because let's face it, Arsenal haven't brought much money in. And he said, if you look at how other teams have done it and where we are, there is a transition moment where that smile has to change at some point. Look at where we are investing the money. We are not spending it. We have made big investments, but investments for the future with huge talent and a lot of performance. And possibly in the future, we have to do something to have a squad that can sustainably be financed as well. That's the objective. So I think he admits there in those comments, although they're a little bit jumbled, that we can't do this forever. We can't go on just spending money. We're going to have to make it. So we've done this huge revamp of the squad, and I think everyone accepted to go down this route of a process, whatever you want to call it, project. Arsenal had to rip things up, start again, completely change things around. And fair play to the Cronkies, they've allowed Arsenal to do that. They've spent massive money. They've allowed massive money to be spent, and they've completely reshaped a squad that is pretty much now purely a Mikel Arteta squad. And to have done that, they've had to make massive decisions, get rid of players, pay players to leave, spend massive money in the transfer market. That can't continue forever. It's got to go back at some point to being a kind of self-sustainable football club, because that's how Arsenal operate. And Mikel's saying now, when you look at the signings they've made, the age of the players they've made, at some point you're going to have to start probably selling some players to finance bringing players in. I'm not saying that's now, I'm not saying that's next summer, but at some point down the line, I think those comments from Mikel Arteta kind of say the same thing there. Okay, so before we go quickly on Martin Odegaard, he was asked about the captaincy over in Orlando, and if he wants it, and he says, I always enjoy responsibility. I'm captain for my country. I don't know anything about the situation here. That's a question for Mikel and the club, but if he asks me, I will be happy to do that. Interesting, I spoke a couple of videos ago about the Arsenal captaincy and when that announcement's going to come from Mikel Arteta. Probably, I think it's going to be just ahead of the Crystal Palace game. Potentially it might be next week ahead of the Sevilla game, but I think it's probably going to be before the Palace game. As I said, I think it's going to be Odegaard, but we'll wait and see. He admitting there that he will absolutely like to take the armband. He's experienced at it. He's done it for his country. And I just feel it's probably going to be him, but we'll wait and see. And before I go, just on the Chelsea game, Zinchenko, I expect to make his debut. Mikel said that if he feels good, maybe tomorrow he'll get some minutes. We'll make that decision, but I reassure you that the player is going to be pushing to play some minutes. I don't see why he won't, because he's been training over with Manchester City. It's not like he's come without any pre-season behind him. He's been training up with Manchester City. He's just flown over a few hours to join up with Arsenal in Orlando because he was in America already. Trained yesterday with the squad. So I don't see any reason why Zinchenko is not going to play against Chelsea. I fully expect him to make his debut in that game later tonight, which kicks off midnight UK time. Vieira has been out on the pitch. We've seen that, training with a ball at his feet. I think this game is probably going to come too early for him. You think this is going to be a really physical match as well. You think back to the Arsenal-Chelsea game last summer, just before the season started. That was a game that Partey got injured with a bad tackle on his ankle. Arsenal-Chelsea, there's no love lost. It's always going to be, yes, it's a friendly, but there are going to be some big challenges going in. It's going to be intense. No one's going to want to lose. So I can't imagine you're going to throw Vieira straight into that one. I think you probably might wait until the Sevilla game, get another week's training under his belt next week back in the UK. Still doesn't look like Tomiyasu and Tierney are training, which is a worry. Slightly less of a worry now that, in terms of Tierney, now that Zinchenko's through the door. But still, so a few players will be missing. I'm not sure about Smith Rowe yet. He's been carrying a little bit of a injury. We'll wait and see if he gets any minutes or not. But other than that, everyone else will play. The ones we've seen so far producing pretty decent performances in pre-season. No doubt this is going to be the hardest game Arsenal faced this summer. It'll be very interesting to see exactly how they match up to Chelsea. Alright everyone, thank you very much for watching. Like I said, as always, anything you agree with, disagree with, let me know in the comments below. Please do have a very good weekend, whatever it is you're doing. If you're over at the game site in the US, enjoy it. It looks like you're all having such a fantastic time over there. Absolutely gutted that I'm not there with you. But please do enjoy that game tonight and have a very good day, each and every one of you.